In this video, I'm going to be breaking down situations from a 46 kill game sent in by one of my top performing students, Bluzzy. Bluzzy was only around a 2.5 KD when I started coaching him, but the commitment he's put into his improvement has yielded some insane results. I've coached a lot of people to high KDs, but he's been one of, if not the quickest to get there. And before we get into it, disclaimer, this isn't the best lobby, but guys, everyone gets one now and then. All that matters though is how well you can capitalize on it. Now, we're going to be focusing on 5 main areas of Bluzzy's gameplay. The first one is how quickly he processes and acts on information. And you can see as soon as he gets that finish, he's going downstairs because he sees this other guy on the minimap, red dot with an arrow below it. And he's capitalizing on his advantage. He's got him weak, he's hunting down this kill. What I see a lot of you guys do is get someone weak and then don't follow through with that damage. Unlike the first guy who he had weak, he didn't hit this guy at all. So going up that staircase would have posed the risk in case this guy challenged him, you would get caught sprinting. That's also something I see you guys do a lot. You shoot and push from the same direction without expecting them to challenge you. Same thing, go red guy weak, hunting him down. Obviously doesn't expect the second guy to be here, good use of the stair glitch, but he knows that first guy's weak, he takes that chow, he pre-fires that angle. Too many people would have backed off here, and that's what really ruins their pace. If you want a high kill game, you need to take those challenges, you need to realize when you're at an advantage of your enemy and capitalize on it. Just pausing here for a sec, I'm going to play through situations while talking through them, and after each one I'll do a thorough breakdown. Everything will be timestamped, so if you want to skip the breakdown and move on to the next situation, then you can. Before we talk about how quickly Bluzzy processes and acts on information, I want to talk about his crosshair centering, which is something he does consistently well throughout his gameplay, and it's also something that a lot of people seem to overlook in Warzone. Now, it's important that anytime you turn a corner and you approach a new angle, that you've got that new angle centered on your screen, for 2 reasons. First reason is, if there was someone up here and you were looking, let's say over here, you might not even see him, he might not even be on your screen, and you'd have to kind of react to that, react to getting shot. Second reason is, if you were looking somewhere here and you did see him, let's say you could see him on your screen, it takes a long time to go from this circle to this circle, to move your centering from here to up here, and in that time he's going to shoot you, he's going to get first shot, you're probably not going to win this fight. So you need to make sure that anytime you approach a new angle you can clearly see it, for those 2 reasons. We see that again here, as he's approaching this new angle, he can clearly see this doorway, and taking it one step further, when he shoots this guy, he's not hitting him in the legs or the body, he's going for the highest damage area possible. You gotta make sure that you're maximizing the damage you deal in your fights, so if you can hit them in the head, then go for that. Now, talking about how he processes information, I see 2 options for Bluzzy right here. He can either go for these guys down here, or he can go for whoever this guy was shooting, you know, someone down this hallway. Why Bluzzy decides to go for these guys down here is because he knows exactly where they are. He doesn't know where these hallway guys are. They might be all the way down here at this doorway, they might be in this corridor over here, we don't know. But we know that these guys are down here. They're either in the basement or the level that Bluzzy was just at. Immediately acting on the information by going downstairs. Now that we are downstairs though, we have a much better understanding of where these red dots are. So obviously there's one up top, we don't care about him, he's not important, but there's one down bottom and there's one on our level. So these 2 red dots here are what we need to focus on, particularly the one that's on our level. And that corresponds to someone that's over here. And what you're going to see from Bluzzy is that as he goes around this corner, he's not just going to look straight and then turn right. He's going to curve around here while already centering in this direction, because he knows that's where the guy is coming from. Even though he's got him cracked and he has a huge advantage on him, Bluzzy's still going to be centering up in this direction, anticipating a challenge. And same thing, as he goes around this doorway up top, he's going to be looking in this direction, anticipating a challenge here. And then again, as he turns this corner, he's going to be looking in this direction, anticipating a challenge over here. And you have to do this. Anytime you go around a corner in Warzone, you have to center in the direction in which you anticipate that challenge. Now with this guy over here, we are actually about to see him. He's gonna pop up in this corner here, but let's just say that we don't see him. Let's say that all we see is this red dot with an arrow below it. Now he could be on this level right here, or he could be down bottom in the basement, but in general we know that he's in this direction, and that's what we need to focus on. Obviously he sees him and hears him. Still centering, you know, just in case this guy takes the challenge. Bluzzy's looking up there. Nothing to this kill really, pretty straightforward. Alright, where to from here? We could go headquarters, we could go top prison, or control. So top prison is probably the worst choice because going up top for just one kill isn't worth it. It's going to take too long. Going headquarters a little bit further away, and we don't really know how many people there are. We haven't been in that area yet, so we don't know what to expect. Control, we've already killed these two guys. Well, Bluzzy's killed these two guys, so he knows what kind of players they are. A little bit further away than prison, but more reward. Best option though is probably going medbay, because there were a couple people shooting top medbay when he headshot that guy, and they're probably still going to be in that area. So all Bluzzy needs to do is go up there, listen for footsteps. They're going to be hanging around that area. They would have heard Bluzzy shooting these other guys, and they'd be interested in third partying. Just really good centering again. When you're caught by surprise like this, you don't really want to take the fight as it's presented itself. You want to use movement or cover to your advantage, and that's what Bluzzy does right here. Is he uses this stay glitch by drop shotting. And he's only taken half a plate of damage, so he's not disengaging from this. A lot of people might have thought that they took a lot more damage than they did. You got to realize how much damage you're taking. If you don't realize it, take a moment away from looking at this guy to just check your plates. So he takes that second fight. He knows this guy is somewhere in this direction here. He couldn't have gone too far. And what Bluzzy does right here is really important, and this is what a lot of people don't do, is they remain ADS this whole time. Even when they can't even see the guy, they remain ADS and they try to track him. What Bluzzy does in a moment is he un-ADS's like around here and then re-ADS's over here when he's back on center, and during this transition he's just hip firing. So you hip fire that transition, you un-ADS, re-ADS, you don't ADS the entire time because you're going to miss a lot of those shots. So right here he's kind of off center, he's not hitting high quality shots, so he's hip firing, and now he's back on center, so he's going to start ADSing again. The next focus area for us is on creating advantages, and having high ground is probably one of the most common advantages that you can have in Warzone. And building on this, we want to maintain our advantages, so as long as high ground is effective, we want to capitalize on it, but as soon as it loses its efficacy, we need to drop down or reposition. Right here he no longer has an effective line of sight on his heretic skin, and he's getting looked at, so he's overexposed himself up top. He has to drop down. And a lot of people would have continued chasing that guy, but you gotta realize when it's time to cut your losses. Guys, don't waste your SMG shooting that far away, just use your AR, especially if someone's right next to you, because you're gonna have to conserve your SMG for that close range fight. Really good aggression, here's him, full sends it, hip fires because it's ultra close range and the bullet spreads tight. Now the first thing I want to talk about is how Bluzzy uses his high ground. So obviously he can see this guy, he's got a clear line of sight on him, so he doesn't need to stand on top of this platform or, you know, on these platforms right here. He's good, he's perfectly good where he is standing behind this red wall, using this red wall as his cover. Now going back to what we were talking about before, we see a red dot with an arrow below it, which corresponds to this direction right here.
And we located the rest of them.
Unlike that first guy, Bluzzy doesn't really have a great line of sight on this guy, and this guy is running in this direction. So if he stands behind this wall and tries to shoot at this guy, he might not hit all his shots, and this guy might break his line of sight before Bluzzy can finish him. So what he does right here is stand on top of this wall. He's exposing himself a little bit, but it's for this line of sight benefit. Now with this guy, same thing, he's standing on the wall, he's got a good line of sight on this guy, but we're going to see in a second that he no longer has it. So it gets to a point on high ground where you have to weigh the trade-off between how much you're going to expose yourself versus how much that exposure actually benefits you. I often get asked the question, how far away should I hip fire from? I want you to imagine a circle around the enemy and a circle around your crosshair. Comparing the two circles, you can see that the crosshair is almost the same size as the enemy. So if you were to hip fire in this range right here, your bullet spread would be going sort of all over the place, and a lot of these shots would miss. They would not connect with the enemy. Now let's compare the circles again. So drawing one around the enemy, drawing one around the crosshair, you can see that now the crosshair circle is significantly smaller than the enemy circle. So hip firing in this range, a lot of your shots will connect. So if you're ever wondering, am I close enough to the enemy to hip fire, just ask yourself if your crosshair takes up a significant portion of the enemy. He's above, drop down, metal door, just hunting him down, not letting him regain. 2 red dots, pretty close.
We located the rest of them.
He's got to be careful of that guy on the left. Not this one, the other one. When you're positioning and aiming in a certain direction, try to avoid exposing yourself to other directions, especially if you already know or should know that there's an enemy there. This guy isn't good. Bluzzy realizes that, that's why he's chasing him down just like everyone else. Immediately just goes for that next red dot, doesn't stop to loot. When you're on good pace like this, you gotta maintain it, you gotta keep pushing, you can't stop. Sees the loadout, could be a good player, that's why he's being a little bit more cautious. Nah, he's not, easy kill.
Mark remaining operators from that squad. Hunt them down.
That's one more thing. Guys, please look up. There are so many free kills up for grabs in Resurgence when people are parachuting like this. You can't be missing out on these opportunities. Just pausing here for a sec again, going back to how Bluzzy processes info, you're going to hear 3 distinct sounds. Footsteps above, footsteps dropping down, and a metal door smashing open. Okay, let's say you have trouble placing footsteps. Either you don't have a good headset, you're on console and haven't tuned your audio, or you just have some hearing issues. There are a couple of things you can do to help with this. First is thinking about the depth of the sound. Typically, if a footstep is above you, it will sound deeper, and if it's below you, it'll sound lighter. Next is thinking about the surface that you're hearing. Footsteps on metal sound distinctly different to footsteps on concrete. For this, you have to know where the surfaces are. Similarly, when you hear a door, you have to know where it is.
Lost that contract.
Just immediately creates an advantage by getting to cover. Maintains the advantage by standing behind the heady while shooting, barely exposing himself.
Remaining operators from that squad.
Shifting his attention to another red dot.
Resurgence is about to end. Make it count.
Notice how he doesn't drop down? He knows top prison is uncontested, so he's maintaining this high ground advantage.
Good kill.
And now he's capitalizing on it with all these guys respawning, just free kills. Good use of momentum, looking left to propel himself forwards. That was a good hipfire into ADS into hipfire, and I have a lot of examples of that across my tips videos. I highly recommend you check them out. I like how he looked at that gondola first before pushing forward. Good use of the wall in case someone comes up. He should be using his knives more though.
Hunt down the rest of them.
Still, doesn't drop down, just maintains his advantage.
Fire sales over. Adjusting for.
Again, I don't recommend using SMG for that range. Reason being, if someone's zippied behind him, he'd have to fight with the AR. He knows they aren't good, and he already has one down, 1 weak, so he just sends it. Immediately switches target to the one that's still up. A lot of people would have gone for the finish. Now I think it's important to talk about being proactive versus being reactive. So obviously Bluzzy's getting shot by this guy. He knows what his options for cover are though. He's obviously got this, he's got this, he's got that air conditioning unit behind him. What I see a lot of people do here is, you know, get shot by someone and first of all, they don't even know who they're getting shot by. They end up just running around in circles here, panicking, worrying about who's shooting them and, you know, what they're gonna do. They're very reactive, and when you're a more reactive player, that's also where emotions tend to kick in and you don't make an objective decision, you make a subjective decision. So always try to be on the lookout for possible covers that you can resort to in case you get shot. Take it one step further, think about where you're even going to get shot from to begin with. Try to limit your exposure to those angles, maybe focus on those angles, make sure you can see them. And don't panic. I see so many people panicking in these situations. Look, Bluzzy is good. This guy can't see him. If anything, he should be worried about people shooting him in the back from harbor. That's probably the only direction Bluzzy needs to worry about. But, you know, with this guy, he's good. This guy hasn't got a line of sight on him. And what I see most commonly in this situation is overexposing yourself. Bluzzy can clearly see this guy, he's got this cover protecting his body. What he doesn't need to do is jump out over here and then take that challenge. That's what a lot of people do though, and it's completely unnecessary. So obviously Bluzzy's going for this guy that's diving down, but there's this gondola on the left. Someone could come up from here, and that's why he looks to the left in a moment. That's a real good check right here. Just making sure that nobody's there. Obviously he's going for this parachuter, but it doesn't hurt to sometimes just check your angle of exposure. And he does a great job of using this wall as his cover, as well as being patient. A lot of people might just go for this finish straight away and neglect the possibility of someone pushing out from this doorway. So if Bluzzy was to stand on top of this wall, or even climb over it to finish this guy, that's really risky. He runs the risk of getting shot. He should be using his knives to finish though, because you don't know who you're going to have to fight next, and really you should be conserving your SMG. Still maintaining the high ground, dealing a lot of damage while taking none himself.
Has closed. No more second chances.
Some fights going on inside. Seems like that's where most of them are now. Respawns are over 2, so there's no point being on the roof anymore. Dropping down, that's where the action is. This is what I was saying earlier about high ground eventually losing its efficacy. Now you can see that respawns are over, you know, it's disabled. We got a clear blue sky, no one respawning. We've got a red dot down here. We've been hearing fighting downstairs for quite a while. There's just no reward on the roof anymore. Same as always, creates an advantage, capitalizes on it, and then maintains it. But since he doesn't have that line of sight anymore, there's no point staying up there, so he pushes up, knowing he has that knock, and he centers perfectly as he approaches.
You're almost done here.
Realizes he's getting
The enemy
pushed,
is
so
no
he creates
longer
the space and works the cover. Slide cancels into an ADS with perfect centering again.
You're losing ground. Move it.
And again, good patience waiting on that sound cue. When footsteps go silent, it means that they're pre-aiming your push. Saw this guy and heard him. This is where I always see people mess up. Towards the end, spending their cash, they never do it optimally. Now, Bluzzy had 18k and a gas mask. He could have just bought an advanced. Plus, he almost bought another self too. He's just processing all this info before he makes a decision. There's been a few moments in this game where his movement's been a bit scrappy. You really shouldn't have to parachute there. That was a good use of the mortar, although I don't think he bought it intentionally. Same thing as always though, he creates a high ground advantage, capitalizes on the line of sight and cover it provides, and maintains it for as long as it's effective. And he immediately takes cover from the guy looking at him, knows where he's getting looked at from, high alert, red dot, really good awareness. And take note, he's still maintaining his high ground, but it's losing its efficacy and he can hear someone below him, much better target. Even with his audio tuning, he still doesn't know which level this guy's on. You just gotta narrow it down. If he's not on top level, he's obviously on the bottom. And again, perfect centering. Good use of the gassy. If you have one, feel free to burn it. Make sure you plate up before you just run out. His aim's been on point this game. That was a good chow, but he should have slide cancelled into an ADS like he did up by the heli. Good use of the cover. Good patience. Good centering. Easy GG's.
Primary objective complete.
So he's doing a quick check, making sure if they're re-peeking, they're not. As he jumps down, he's going to be focusing on the left side. It's unlikely that when you do that much damage to someone, they re-peek the same angle. They're probably going to approach from a different angle, or at least initially. And if they do re-peek this angle as he's jumping down, they're not really good players anyway, and he doesn't have to worry about them. So notice, as he's jumping down, this is where his area of focus is. Again, focusing on this direction. As he turns around this corner, he's not just going to be doing, you know, what we said at the start about running straight and then turning right. He's going to be curving around here, already centering in this direction. Perfect centering.
You're almost done here. The enemy is no longer tracking you.
Sees this guy running right, and he knows that that's going to appear somewhere in this direction here. So same thing, as he turns this corner, he's going to be cutting through it while already centering in this general direction. He saw the guy going right.
You're losing ground. Move it.
Already centering in this direction. Okay, now I want to talk about budgeting and planning ahead. So let's look at Bluzzy's money. 18k, a lot of utilities, he's got his loadout, he's got his self-res. He really doesn't need much. I'd say all he needs is information. The worst thing that you can do is stand at a buy, open up the menu, and then just buy random stuff, wasting your money. You have to plan what you want to buy beforehand. I really like this play from Bluzzy. It puts together a lot of what we talked about, and he starts by getting information on this team over here. So he sees that they're in this direction. He realizes that if he gets top industry, he has a really good line of sight on them, he has the high ground advantage on them, and he's also not exposed to this other solo by himself down here. It's important that you look at how many people are left alive, how many teams, and you do some subtractions to figure out where everybody is. Again, he does a great job of capitalizing on his advantage as well, and he takes it one step further. Even though he could just stand on top of industry and shoot down on this guy, Bluzzy decides to stand behind this orange zipline, giving himself some extra cover. And we see that again here. Bluzzy's already got a good line of sight on this guy, so he doesn't need to stand on top of this wall. He's good where he is. So Bluzzy's narrowed it down to this level, and more specifically this corner. 1, he hears him, 2, there's gas coming from the right, so the guy must be on the left. And what you're going to see, as always, as Bluzzy goes through this red door, he's already going to be centering on the guy. So that guy's going to be somewhere in that corner, perfectly centered. What you don't want to do in this situation is give away information here and then just run through this door and get to circle in a rush, because you've still got, 4 people to contend with. And if you're low on plates, that's not going to be a good situation to be in. So feel free to burn your gassy. If you have to smoke, then smoke, but just chill here for a bit, don't panic, play it up, reload, once you're good, then go. Which brings us to the final fight of this gameplay. We're in a little bit of a stalemate here. This guy's not peeking right, he's not peeking left, all he's doing is holding that wall. Now, if Bluzzy wants to push up, what he can't do is just run from where he is straight to where that guy is, because what might happen is as Bluzzy's gun's up in the air, as he's tactical sprinting, the guy might challenge him right here. So Bluzzy might be sprinting, and then this guy decides to peek when Bluzzy's here, and he's going to get caught with his gun pointed up in the air. It's not going to be a good situation for him. So 2 things that Bluzzy does. 1, he centers in this direction the entire time. He doesn't look up into the sky or look at this truck or look at the ground. He's expecting that challenge. His crosshair is perfectly placed. And 2, he takes a very short pause on his journey there, and that pause is just to reduce the chance of him getting caught with his gun up, and you're going to see that here in a sec. Right here, he pauses, he's not tack sprinting with his gun up, his gun is pointed in this direction, and he's ready to fight. To finish up, I just want to summarize what Bluzzy did really good and what he could improve on. So starting with the pros, first of all, he's really quick at processing and acting on information, which means he's aware of his surroundings, he checks his minimap frequently, and he knows what to focus on. Secondly is his centering. Anytime he turns a corner or is about to challenge an enemy, he's making sure that his crosshair is well centered. Next is on his ability to create advantage. He doesn't take fair fights. He always gives himself the best possible chance of winning. Number 4 is how he capitalizes on his advantage. It's one thing to create an advantage, but what's the point if you don't actually get any benefit from it? And last but not least is how he maintains his advantage. So as long as your advantage is still effective, you want to keep capitalizing on it. Moving on to areas he could improve on, I think he uses his SMG too much, especially at medium range and to finish kills. He should be swapping to his AR and using his knives. And this one's a bit of a nitpick, but I think he could spend more money and also spend it more optimally. We saw at the end that he did spend his money in a bit of a frenzy. Anyways, that'll conclude this video. Let me know if you found my breakdowns helpful. Definitely check out Bluzzy's gameplay. He streams on Twitch and uploads clips to TikTok. Both of these will be linked down below. And as a bonus, here are a couple 50 bombs that he dropped in recent weeks. If you want to play like Bluzzy, I highly recommend booking a coaching session with me today.